Welcome to Haystack Mujer, Rosaura Figueroa Mendoza, Rosa Salvaje, here with my father, José Ibarra Mendoza.
He's gonna...
What's up?
That's correct.
Yeah, so we're gonna talk a little bit about his life and who he is, and thank you for being on the program. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Great. So feel free to wish to start wherever you want to start. You know, we're talking about, you could start from the beginning, you could start from the end, whatever you want to share.
Probably from when my father brought me to the front.
To the front, okay, cool. What does that mean?
He brought me from Jalisco.
Okay, cool.
To LA.
Uh-huh. What was that like for you?
It was good.
Yeah, so I shared with folks a little bit about how you are from the highlands of Jalisco, Joquisle, Jalisco. So I went there when I was 5 years old. We went as a family, and it was really beautiful, right? There was like a lot of mountains and river and things like that, so it was really cool to see that. And so for you, like, what do you remember from your childhood of that place?
Well, I kind of live my life in there.
Mm-hmm.
With all my brothers.
Yeah, how many siblings do you have? You have 5 sisters, 4 brothers?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And they all beat me up. Until the time came my father sent us for us.
How old were you at that time?
15.
Mm-hmm. So your father was working in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
And so he had been able to attain a green card and things like that through work, right? I want to say it was through the Bracero program, right? That he was able to come, work, they gave him a green card, and from there he was able to apply for his family.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was able to apply for you and your brother, your siblings, basically. And so you were in Mexico, in Jalisco, hasta la edad de 15. Entonces ya es cuando se vino usted.
Uh-huh.
Okay. ¿Y cómo se le hizo a usted cuando se vino a la frontera, como dice usted, to the front? So when he says to the front, he means to the border, to the frontera, coming to the U.S., right?
Uh-huh. And then at first, I thought it was kind of a little hot.
Like the weather, it was hot?
The weather was too hot.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there we stayed there for I can't remember.
You say you can't remember? Yeah, I mean, so it was hot when you came. It was because you came through. Well, you came to San Luis, right? Like
Came to San Luis.
Okay. So there's San Luis, Arizona, which is the U.S. side, and then there's San Luis, Sonora, which is the Mexico side. And so you came through San Luis because did you already have family in San Luis?
Yeah, I have one brother, one sister. No, 2 sisters.
Entonces ya estaba viviendo mi tía Francisca en San Luis.
Y
Coti. Y mi tío Enrique, who are the oldest of his siblings. They were already living in San Luis. Okay, so you were 15 at that time, and you came from Jalisco, and you came to San Luis. And then I believe you told me that at 16 is when you got your residency card, and you were able to come into the U.S. and things like that.
No, when I was 18.
Okay.
I got the residence. And I moved to LA. And then from there I was working different jobs. And then
And then, for example, you were telling me that in the year 1979 is when you bought La Discoteca Hacienda.
No, that was 79 years, but something happened before.
Okay, what happened?
I work in LA in different jobs. And then I was at the home one day when I heard a radio announcement saying that my cousin was asking for a guy. Who was he? I don't know.
Your cousin, mi tío Rigo? You heard him on the radio?
Yeah.
Really? I didn't know that. Okay. So
Yeah.
he went on the radio and was asking for a guy, you said?
Asking for a friend of his.
Oh, okay. Because he was trying to find him and look for him?
Yeah, we'll find him. And then I called him right away. I told the disc jockey, give me the phone number from the guy that was looking for a guy.
What the hell? I didn't know this. Okay.
And then he said, are you related to him? He said, yeah, it's my cousin. So from there, I got his number. I called him right away. I said, you have a job? He says, well, not right now, but probably a little later. It's gonna be
Because mi tío Rigo was working at the can factory at that time.
yeah,
Okay.
factory.
So you were inquiring about a job. You wanted to work.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then from there, he told me to get up here as soon as I can. I said, yeah. And then I
So then you came to the Bay Area.
came to the Bay Area.
Hey, yay area. So
I
from
know.
Jalisco to LA to the Bay. All right.
And then I started working at that can factory about 2 weeks after.
National Can in
National
San
Can.
Leandro.
San Leandro. Yeah, and then from there, I was working 3 can factories at the same time.
Damn. 3 different companies?
Different companies.
Wow.
That was Del Monte, and then one in Hayward. I don't know what the name of it, but they all 3 closed at the same time, and in 2000. And then from there, they kicked me out.
And then, so you could feel free to share about in 79, right? Discoteca Hacienda, or you could talk about why you were kicked out.
Well, I wasn't kicked out because of that. 79, I purchased a record store in the Hayward area.
Yeah, La Discoteca Hacienda.
Discoteca Hacienda.
So it was on B Street first,
Was on B Street,
in downtown Hayward.
downtown Hayward. And then I worked that store for 20 years.
Yeah, I grew up in that store. It was on B Street, on Tennyson Road, and then on C Street in downtown Hayward. And I grew up, I was born in 91, so y'all were still on B Street when I was born, right? But then I remember most the store on Tennyson Road, because that's where I grew up most. So I remember, you know, helping out with like picking out CDs for customers, or like I was a kid, so I wasn't really helping, but I was kind of to the best of my ability. But like, you know, Las Discotecas Hacienda had all kinds of like Latino music, like Juan Gabriel, Los Temerarios, Selena. But then it also had like shirts and patches and like different, just different things that people could buy, like rosaries and things like that, that like a lot of just Latino people buy, flags, different things like that.
A card, and then
you said cards, you said?
Cards.
Oh, like Hallmark cards.
Hallmark
Yeah.
cards.
I remember that too.
Yeah, and then from there, that was, what year was it? That was when they closed the store, when they closed the business. They sent me to Tennyson. And then from there.
Who's they?
They closed the store today. The owner.
Oh, but they sent, you said they sent you to Tennyson, or did you choose to go to Tennyson?
No, my nephew, he said, you know, there's an opening at Tennyson.
What nephew?
Junior.
Oh, my godfather. Hey. Cool.
And then I worked there for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, and I remember growing up, you know, mom was there, my mom worked there, you know, my brother and I grew up in the store. It was interesting being there. I think the biggest thing I got from it is that I just got a really eclectic taste in music, because, you know, I remember hearing War and Bretton Wood and Mary Wells, as well as like I said, Juan Gabriel, Selena, like all these, Los Bukis, Marco Antonio Solis, like all these artists, you know, from Mexico and from Latino America, Elvis Crespo, that are all just like super important, right, when it comes to parties, because, you know, us as Mexican people, like every time there's a party, there's music, right? And so music is really, really key, I believe, in the culture, right?
And then from there, I was there for almost 5 years. When they time to contract expires, so that's when I decided to move back to C Street. I was there already there, and then keep working at a cane company. Well, 3 of them. And then
yeah, that was an interesting time. You've referenced that, for example, September 11th, 2001 was as terrible as it was, you know, for the folks that died and everything that ensued afterwards. It was really interesting, the effect that it had on business. And so my dad has commented on that, right? You've commented on how business just slowed down, you know, after that time.
Business slowed down, yeah, during that period of time. And then from there, I closed the store completely. I moved. I stayed in the cane company for about 1 year or 2 years maybe. And then
and I remember actually going to sell, because even though you sold the store, you still owned all of the merchandise. And so I remember going to the Oakland flea market, Chabot flea market, Tennyson high school flea market to sell, you know, the merchandise. And so that was really interesting experience as well.
I never sold anything until then it was time for the cane company to close. All 3 different stores, different businesses. They closed. I started looking for another job.
Yeah, and it was an interesting process for you, right, to do that, to go through that transition, because you had been having the store for, what, 20 years, and you had worked at the can factory, and now you had to make this tough transition, you know, to be able to find other work and things like that.
And then I started working at the road service.
What was it?
Road service.
Clothes service?
Road.
Road service, oh, right.
I was working at the road service for about, I think it was 6-7 years. Then that's when I got sick.
Yeah. Feel free to go into that or not. Deep breath.
I feel free, but at the same time, I was.
You feel free now or at that time?
At the time.
You felt free after what?
There, 6-7 years with them.
With them doing road service or?
Yeah, road service.
So you're talking about when you were a laborer, right? Like you would work like construction and things like that, and you know, some of the time you worked on the highway. Yeah. So then you say you felt free after that? Once you got sick?
Huh?
You said meaning once you got sick, or just?
Once I got sick.
Okay.
And then I got sick, and then that was it.
Yeah, and it's been a difficult road for you, right? Since you've been sick, 2007, and again, you had mentioned you don't really want to go too much into it because that's just private. But you know, for folks out there that are going through family health issues, just hopefully you have that support system for yourself, for your family, in the community, to be able to get through tough times, you know, because it could be really hard for the person that's going through it, and also the family that surrounds the person. And so hopefully you're able to find services for yourself and for others to be able to get through that time. And so, you know, now it's, you know, you've moved on from that. It's been an interesting, you know, road up and down. But, you know, you've talked about having plans for the future, right? And so Jalisco, going back to Jalisco is one of those plans, right? Going during pitaya season. Pitaya is dragon fruit, for folks that don't know. He really wants to go, and we're going to make a trip happen, hopefully in May of 2019. Going back to the rancho. Hey, I haven't been there since I was 5 years old, and I pooped my pants when we were going down the mountain, because to get to his house where he grew up, he lived the house was right next to a river. And I remember que nos bañamos en ese río. But on the way down, there's no bathroom, so you just kind of go wherever you need to go. So I freaking pooped myself, and it was, you know, it was fun because you're just out in the wilderness and just enjoying nature, right? And so it's very beautiful. And like I said, I remember showering in the river, and so he grew up in that house, you know, next to the river. So Jocuisle is only like maybe 3 houses or something. You said nobody lives there anymore, or people still live there?
Yeah, they still live there.
People still live there. Okay.
About 4 or 5 families. And then I came back to LA.
You said you came back to LA when?
Well, when I went to I got really sick on 2007.
Oh.
That's when I lost all the time.
Yeah, so you went back to LA to visit family, right?
Yeah, I go back there too. visit family.
Cool. Yeah, and I know most of your family's in LA and Mexico, but primarily in LA, right? It's where you have your sisters, your brothers. Actually, who lives in LA? Es mi tía María.
My brother, my sisters.
Mi tía María, mi tía Adela, mi tío Delfino are the ones that live in that area. Mi tía Francisca. Jesus, she lives in Apple Valley, but it's near there. Yeah.
That's when
mi tía Cotis in San Luis.
San Luis.
Mi tío Enrique, rest in peace, rest in power. Mi tío Pablo, ¿dónde anda? En Jalisco.
Jalisco.
Cool.
And when
So then, you excited about Jalisco? Cool. What are you looking forward to?
I'm looking for the pitayas.
Swear to God, that's all he's talked about for 5 years. At least 5 years. I know you've been wanting to go, and it's been difficult to make it happen, but you know, ya para mayo 2019, we're gonna hopefully make that shit happen. So we can go as a family, you know, and I haven't been there since I was 5, like I said, so it's been a long time. And you haven't been there since we went, right? When I was 5, yeah, so that's been a long time. 22 years. 22 years. And you still have family allí, pues en Jocuisle. La Tortuga is a town nearby Jocuisle. There's still family in that area, right? Yeah? Okay. So we're going to take a short break. We'll be back. Alright people, welcome back to Haystack Mujer TV. I am Rosaura Figueroa Mendoza, your host, Rosa Salvaje, and we are here with my dad, José Ibarra Mendoza. And so, you know, I had asked my dad beforehand, you know, what is it that you don't wish to touch upon, just to respect his privacy, and, you know, I want to be able to ask all my guests that. And he had mentioned, you know, his illness at first, but now, you know, he kind of shared that he wants to talk about it, and so I'm going to let him you know, talk a little bit more. And so we had touched upon in the other portion that in 2007 he got sick, and he was actually stricken with kidney disease. He had to be, you know, put on dialysis, but I'm gonna, you know, pass it on to him so he could talk a little bit more about that experience.
Yeah, I remember 2007 I fallen sick.
Yeah, and it was a difficult time for you. And feel free to talk about, you know, what is it that happened? You know, what was that experience like? For example, you know, the way that it happened, the way maybe, I don't know if you want to get into details, whatever you wish to share really about you getting sick. Maybe the experience you had with dialysis, being put on dialysis, and what that was like. Is it difficult to talk about?
It's not difficult about that.
Are you trying to find the words to say what you need to
Find
say?
the words, yeah.
Do you wish to share about your stroke that you had? Do you want to share about
I
that?
had a stroke, and I had a heart disease.
So, I mean, I could share that part a little bit more if you wish, and then you could give details if you want. So in 2016, he actually had a stroke in February of that year, and so that stroke really was difficult because it, you know, you lost your memory a little bit. You lost, since then you said you've had trouble speaking. Like, you think of the words that you want to say, but it's actually hard to verbalize and say what you want to say. Whereas before it was a lot easier for him to just speak, you know, openly. We kind of take that for granted, right? But it's not until you have something happen to you health-wise that you're able, you feel different, right? And so it's been difficult for you. And then you also had a heart surgery in 2017? January of 2017. You had heart surgery, and then you had a kidney transplant in March of this year. So you're a survivor, dude. You're getting through a whole bunch of shit.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel right now?
I don't know. I feel a little bit different.
Mm-hmm. Different how? Different good, different bad.
Different good.
Mm-hmm. So what do you want to do with your new lease on life?
Lease on life?
Yeah, like now that you have, you know, your kidney transplant. You've been waiting, you waited for 10 years.
Yeah. Waited for 10 years for the kidney.
Mm-hmm. So who's this? Who's playing?
Brentwood.
Yeah. So when it comes to your life now, you know, what is it that you hope to do?
I don't know.
Well, you want to learn guitar.
Oh, yeah.
So anybody who plays guitar that's in the Hayward area, please hit us up because he's trying to learn guitar. Quiere aprender Cielito Lindo and all the Mexican jams, you know. So anybody who knows that shit, come on over. Do some private lessons. So you want to learn guitar. You want to go to Jalisco.
Mm-hmm.
And what else is happening? Anything else that you want to make happen?
Right now, the best, the
Thinking?
thinking.
Okay. Maybe just sticking with those plans, right? Guitar.
Mm-hmm.
So little by little, guitar, and then making the plans for Jalisco. You know, making, and you know, for folks that may or may not know, you when you have somebody who's going through a health situation, it's just ongoing, right? It doesn't really stop. So there's always medications and appointments and, you know, checkups and what is it?
Medicine.
Yeah, medicines, different things that are going on that are just like consistent. And so my mom is really like the super, you know, star that handles a lot of those things. I'm in a support role with her and my dad and his doctors and things like that. And so it's been really, and I keep using the word interesting because it's not good or bad. It's just something that you go through, right, as a family, and it makes you learn and it makes you grow. And I think for me personally, like if I can share a little bit about my personal, like with your illness, especially your stroke, I think was the biggest thing. Mom and I have talked about how, you know, when you got sick in 2007 and you went on dialysis, you really took care of a lot of things on your own. You were really independent and self-sufficient. That, you know, he drove himself to appointments. You did your own medication. You did the dialysis yourself, like here at home, and that was a long process, right, to just go through that. So he was on dialysis for 9 years, but it wasn't until you had your stroke in 2016 that you really became dependent on Mom and I, because you lost your mobility, and it affected, again, his speech and his ability to drive. He hasn't driven since 2016, right? And so it was really difficult. And so I think for me personally, like when you got sick in 2007, you know, you were sick, but you were still like handling everything. But in 2016 is really when I feel like Mom and I had to really step in. And so that was a life-changing experience for me. It made me grow up a lot, right? And to understand that I can't be selfish. It's not all about me. It's now like you need help and attention. Mm-hmm. And so it was it was a tough time, and it has been a tough time, but I think that in general, like it's a learning process and a growth process that you go through. And once you go through it, you're able to, for me personally, it's like, it made me realize like, oh, we could die. Like people die all the time, but that was really a moment of like, oh, you could die, I could die, Mom could die, Miguel Angel could die, Miguel Angel, my brother, right? So it was just a really like, whoa, like surreal moment of like, oh shit, like, you know, what, like for me personally, it's like, what am I doing in my life and what am I going to leave behind? And I don't want to waste time, right? And so going back to you, thank you for sharing, you know, your experiences. And we're going to go to Jalisco. Make that shit happen.
Yeah.
And what else is going to happen? Anything else on the horizon?
No, not right now.
Okay.
Everything is different.
Okay. So one thing I did want to ask you about is your training in karate and boxing with Joe Olivares, U.S. Karate and Boxing. So when did you first start?
76.
76. How old were you?
Right now?
How old were you then?
Oh, I was 26 or 27.
Okay. All right, cool. And so what was that like?
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Mm-hmm. So you trained both karate and boxing?
Karate and boxing.
Mm-hmm. Was it tough? Do you recommend it to people? What did you learn?
Yeah.
So I'm actually training now with Joe Olivares. I'm doing boxing, and so it's been really interesting, and I really like the connection that there is between Joe and my dad. And actually I asked Joe the other day when I went last week to class, I asked him if he still had my dad's like I think I asked him like, what does he remember from you or things like that, and Joe was actually like, oh, I still have his paperwork from when he first signed up, right? I can get you a copy if you want. I was like, oh yeah, cool, like that would be tight. Like, you know, just to have that connection, right? So I feel like Joe's a really good teacher. I really like training with him. I think boxing, like I think anybody that is interested in self-defense, please do it. I think it's really, really important. Me personally, like my first experience with self-defense was karate. When you put my brother and I in karate when I was 9 years old, we did it for maybe, I want to say a year. Like, you know, I was young, so I feel like I didn't give it that attention, but I still really liked it. There's still stuff, even though I wasn't in it for a long time, I still learned about Bruce Lee. I learned about just being aware of your surroundings and understanding that you could be attacked at any time, and if you are attacked, you should be ready and have that awareness, right? My next experience with self-defense was I did boxing with Joe when I was 21, but only for a couple months, because then I moved to San Jose for college, right? And so at that time, we were going to get an apartment. I was going to start my third year of college, and so we were going to get an apartment. And so I only trained with Joe for a little bit, and I actually trained in boxing out in San Jose for maybe a couple of months, but not that long, because just taking the bus at night, it just didn't work for me. And then I did capoeira. It's been 4 years now, in August actually. And then I started training boxing with Joe maybe like 2 months ago. So anybody who wishes to do self-defense or has any inclination towards self-defense, I highly recommend it, because I think that it's really important for personal growth and for just being able to take care of yourself and defend yourself. So it's really cool that, you know, I want to thank you for putting us in karate. I don't know if I ever thanked you, but, you know, putting us in karate and like having that awareness of like, fucking take care of yourself when you're out in the streets. So you've told me you have a history of violence. From the very beginning of this introduction, my dad talked about how you were beat up by your siblings, right? Your older siblings. And that's just the culture in Mexico, ¿verdad? That you just beat people up.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for sharing.
Okay.
Thank you for sharing, and thank you for being here. And I live here partly. I actually recently moved to East Oakland, which has been interesting, but I'm still here in Hayward, you know, helping out whenever I can. And, you know, my dad's an interesting character. I wanted to do this episode with him because I think that he's just gone through a lot. He's a survivor, and, you know, there's the highlands of Jalisco to LA to the Bay. You know, you've been living it up and having just a really interesting life, right? You know, you had my brother and I here. Was Miguel Angel born in San Leandro too?
Yeah.
At La Humana, okay. We were both, you know, born in San Leandro, raised in Hayward. You actually had I actually have a half brother, Jose Enrique in Mexico, who's also interesting. I honestly don't really talk to him, but he's in Mexico. And, you know, you've been married. Actually, you recently had a 30-year anniversary, right, of marriage with my mom, my beautiful mother, Maria Juliana Figueroa Mendoza. And so it's been interesting. Keep using the word interesting, like I said, but I think that's the only way to describe like this man. He's just like this crazy character that I love and I hate, but I've said many times there's a thin line between love and hate, so it's very good to come to terms with that, and you know, to be able to talk to you and get more of your story. So thank you for sharing. Is there anything else that you wish to share?
No, that's it.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks.
Okay.
And also, as a final thing, these are my dad's grandparents. So these are the parents of your mother, right?
My mother's side.
Your mother's parents. So these are his. Oh wait, mother's parents or grandparents? So these are your grandparents. These are my great grandparents.
Yeah, that's great grandparents.
These are my great grandparents and your grandparents. Okay, cool. So we have them here, you know, honoring them. Dia de los Muertos is coming, so honor your dead. I've been thinking a lot about death and how we could die tomorrow, die today. So, you know, really just taking advantage of the people and that you love, right? And really enjoying them to the fullest, because that's the only thing you can do while we're here. So hopefully y'all have a wonderful day. Tune in for next week for another episode of Haystack Mujer TV. Thanks, Pops. Okay. Can I get a high five? Thanks. All right, peace. Bye.